God's Word Express.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to break down complex source material into the knowledge you really need.
And today, we're tackling a topic that many of you have asked for, and it's a challenging one. How to recognize the signs of being under a curse.
It really is. Last week, we established that, according to the sources, curses are considered, well, more real than real.
And that misidentifying the problem has disastrous consequences. The text actually says it's more severe than ignoring a serious health condition.
That's a huge statement. You know, if you knew you had something serious, like HIV, for example, you would seek treatment, you'd take precautions.
Exactly. And the mission today is all about observation. It's about giving you the tools to see clearly.
Right, to cut through what might just be bad luck or a string of coincidences and identify the clear, repeating symptoms.
And our main source for those symptoms today will be the scriptural references, specifically what's laid out in Deuteronomy chapter 28. We're looking for the diagnostic guide.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the big question is, how do you tell the difference, between chronic bad decisions and an actual curse? What's the core identifier?
Well, what's fascinating is that the primary characteristic isn't chaos.
Yeah.
It's order. It's something happening repeatedly and predictably.
Predictably.
The sources just call it predictable failure. The variables can change, different job, different city, different relationship, but the outcome is always the same. Failure.
The sources have this brilliant analogy for that. They say it's like a tragic movie that gets rebooted over and over.
Yes. Same story, different actors.
So the plot, the tragedy stays the same, but the actors, the family members in each generation change.
Precisely. Let's take an example. The plot could be conflict. Maybe the grandfather, Agong, as the source says, was always fighting. And now, 2 generations later, the grandchildren are just repeating that exact same pattern. They can't find peace, can't maintain any unity. Same story.
Or it could be poverty. The whole family line, generation after generation, tries to get ahead. They try to get an education, start a business.
But nobody ever finishes school. Nobody ever gets rich. It's a predictable failure to prosper.
And the most tragic one, death.
Yes. Not just, old age or a known illness. We're talking about a pattern of people dying young or a weirdly high frequency of accidental deaths in the family line.
To make this really tangible, the source shared this powerful story about a Christian startup founder.
Right. A very motivated person, selected by a national science agency, traveling to Bangalore, to Japan. They were doing everything right.
All the hard work, the skill, the networking.
And yet, despite all that initial success, he said he always had this deep inner feeling that it would just end the same way it always did, in failure.
That feeling of hitting the same wall.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. He was about to receive a National Innovation Award, the one thing that would have secured his future.
And what happened?
His name was just mysteriously removed from the list. No reason, no explanation. Just gone.
That is the definition of predictable failure. You get right to the finish line, and some invisible force just pulls the rug out from under you.
And that invisible wall leads us directly into the specific signs listed in Deuteronomy 28. If predictable failure is the theme, these are the chapters.
Okay, let's get into them. The material signs first. There's a very poetic description in the scripture.
There is. It talks about the heaven which is over your head shall be bronze, and the earth which is under you shall be iron.
Wow.
It's powerful imagery. A bronze sky means no rain, no blessing from above. An iron earth means the ground is hard, cold, dry. Nothing can grow.
So the modern application of that is pretty clear. You're working dawn till dusk. You are sowing so much, putting in all the effort.
But you'll harvest almost nothing. You're always low on cash. Savings are just, a fantasy. The environment itself is working against you.
What's next on the list?
Defeat and scattering. So this is a life that's just defined by losing. Business ventures fail, you lose competitions. The text says you go out one way to fight, but you flee, defeated in 7 directions.
And this isn't just about business, right? It connects to the family.
It does. It talks about family dispersion. But not by choice. This is being involuntarily scattered across the globe because no one can get a foothold in their home country. The family unit is broken apart.
Okay, this is all very external, but the sources also point to very personal physical signs.
They do, and they're quite distressing. Chronic, unhealable diseases are listed as a direct sign.
Like what, specifically?
The list is very specific. Egyptian boils, severe hemorrhoids, scabies, and an incurable itch from the sole of your foot to the crown of your head.
So basically, any long-term disease that just resists all forms of treatment, the source says that could be a sign.
It should at least be considered in this context, yes.
That is a shocking list. It goes so far beyond just financial trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it includes mental and emotional suffering, mental illness, insanity, deep confusion, what we might call bipolar disorder, is explicitly named a curse.
And what about the emotional state?
Deuteronomy 28.29 describes it perfectly. You are stumbling around in broad daylight like a blind person in the dark.
While everyone else seems fine.
Exactly. Others are relaxed, successful, chill, as the source puts it, but you are constantly confused, oppressed, feeling robbed, and totally helpless, with no one to step in and help.
Okay, let's shift to the socioeconomic science. There's a really interesting point about the word prosperity.
Yes, the Hebrew word for it. It literally means the lip of a bowl that is constantly rising.
So a steady, continuous increase.
Right. So if your life is flat, if your bank account today looks the same as it did 5, even 10 years ago, you lack prosperity. That stagnation, that refusal to rise, is a major symptom.
Then there are these very specific disappointments.
The sources paint a vivid picture. You build a beautiful house, but you never get to live in it. Your servants do.
Or you plant a vineyard, but worms eat all the fruit.
And in relationships, the same pattern. You get engaged, and then another man takes the woman. It's a repeating cycle of loss right at the point of fulfillment.
The source used the phrase a logo of failure. One person's presence seems to trigger collapse for their partner.
Right, they might get called a husband eater or something similar. But the source is clear. This isn't just bad luck. It's a repeatable pattern, a curse operating against union and success.
And what about the next generation? This might be the most difficult one to see. The captivity of your children.
This is a huge one for today. It doesn't mean they are literally taken prisoner. It means their minds, their hearts, are captives of foreign influences.
And the list of those influences is, well, it's very modern.
It is. You have the expected things like drugs, gambling, bad friends, but then the source specifically calls out anime, cartoons, and social media series.
So the idea is that the children are physically home, but they aren't actually present. Their minds are somewhere else entirely.
Their minds are captured. There's no real intimacy with the parents.
And finally, there's economic servitude.
Yes, Deuteronomy 28.4344. The foreigner among you will rise higher and higher, and you will sink lower and lower. They will be the head, and you will be the tail.
So a loss of influence, a loss of power in your own land.
A loss of leadership. The local people don't become the decision makers. And financially, you are always the borrower, never the lender.
And we're not talking about a car loan here.
No, not planned, manageable debt. We're talking about perpetual debt.
Yeah.
Borrowing just to meet your basic needs.
Okay, so we've laid out a lot of symptoms, a lot of patterns. This brings us to the really crucial part. Why? Why do these curses stick? What's the mechanism?
It all comes down to a legal principle from Proverbs 26.2. A curse without a cause will not alight.
Like a wandering bird, it needs a place to land. It needs a legal basis.
Exactly. And the source breaks it down into 2 types of curses, based on how they're initiated. First, you have curses that require a plaintiff.
A filer, someone has to make a complaint.
Think of it like a spiritual court. Satan is filing complaints day and night. But if there's no reason, if you haven't done anything wrong, the curse just soars away like a sparrow. It can't stick to you.
But there's a second type.
Yes. And these are, in a way, more frightening. Automatic curses, they're like statutory violations.
So you break the law, you automatically get the penalty, no complaint needed.
That's it. You speed, you get a ticket, you do certain things, a curse is triggered automatically.
And the sources are very specific about what those actions are.
Very. And they focus heavily on betrayal and spiritual offenses. The first one is huge. Doing evil in return for good. Proverbs 17.13.
So if someone, a leader, a friend, a benefactor, does something good for you,
and you repay them with evil gossip, betrayal, stealing their spouse, the consequence is automatic and severe. The text says, evil will never depart from your house.
and the source points to David's curse in Psalm 109 to show just how severe that is.
It's terrifying. It wishes for Satan to be at their right hand, for early death, for their children to be orphans, their wife a widow, for their descendants to be beggars. It's a generational consequence for repaying good with evil.
Wow. Okay, what's another automatic trigger?
Misrepresenting the gospel. Preaching an alternate gospel. One that, say, focuses only on wealth and blessings.
What treats faith like some kind of direct sales scheme, a magic formula for prosperity.
Exactly. That brings an automatic curse.
Yeah.
As does idolatry. seeking God only for personal gain.
Coming to church for business connections or to find money.
Right. Acting like a beggar, not a believer, or like the sorcerer in the Bible who tried to buy God's power. And modern idolatry is subtle.
It's not just statues.
No. It can be money, food, even those high-priced collector's figures the source mentions. If you worship it, devote your time and resources to it above all else, it's an idol. And that brings a curse.
And the final one is about communion.
Taking communion unworthily, treating that sacred meal without honoring its meaning. Maybe you're there just to socialize, to flirt, not focusing on Christ's body. The source says that can lead to sickness, weakness, or even death.
So if we pull all of this together, what does it mean for you, the listener?
It means that recognizing these signs, the predictable failure, the illness, your children being held captive by their screens, that recognition is the essential first step. You can't stop the cycle if you don't even know it's happening.
And you can't be passive about it. The sources make it so clear. There is no neutral ground here. You are either living under a blessing or you're living under a curse.
So being content with stagnation, with that lip of the bowl never rising, that's basically accepting the curse in your life.
The source implies that if you're not bearing fruit, you risk being cut off. But it also says that God's mercy can change that judgment. So the knowledge gives you a choice.
It does. The choice is yours. Knowing this is the beginning of the fight to break that cycle in your generation.
So the question to leave you with is this. Are you willing to fight the cycle of predictable failure, or will you accept a life of stagnation? That's something for you to consider this week.
I think we'll have to leave it there.
We will. So for today, we both ask to take our leave. God bless you.
God bless you.